Hopper's dead.
I used to feel so devastated. At times I thought we never make it. But now we on our way to greatness. And all that ever took was patience.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy LA Cool J, and it is cursed time. We're gonna go through all the curse staffs and talk about all of the gear to wear with them, offhands, and all that stuff. We're also going to talk about how playstyles work with them in open world and like dungeons, and also ZVZs, and also GVGs as well. We're going to talk about how to pair with everything to go through. We're going to talk about the Qs first, and then the Ws, and then we're going to go to E on each different weapon, as each of them has a different ability and playstyle. Let's get in here, boys. Let's get this shit cracking. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get started here real fast. Let's go ahead and jump on the very first one we're going to talk about here. This is going to be Vile Curse. Now this is going to be your Q ability. You're going to use this like all the time. Like, I don't really see another reason to use the other one. Vile Curse, it places a curse on the target, dealing X amount of damage every 2 seconds. And it stacks up to 4 times. That's the important thing. It stacks up to 4 times. And when this thing is at full stack, it just does a huge dot over, and a dot is damage over time. So just a lot of damage, just over and over and over and over. As long as you keep that stack up, you build up your stacks, you keep it on, and then you just manage your stacks, and then you can kind of kite around and do what you want. It's a lot of damage. Okay guys, so the next one is Cursed Sickle. Now this creates a demonic sickle that just flies at a position that you put it in. It flies in front of you, and then it also returns. And it deals 59 damage every 2 seconds, and it can also stack up to 4 times. This is pretty cool for like, if you're like doing some fame farming maybe, and you want to like AoE down a couple of mobs or something like that. So on the W's here, the first one now is going to be Armor Pierce. Armor Pierce! Whatever guys. Alright, so it's going to shoot a demonic beam in front of you, or just wherever you position it, and it's going to hit all enemies that it goes through and pierces them. Now what it does is it pierces them, it reduces their armor and magic. Now 45 for 8 seconds. It also does damage. This is really cool because like, it weakens the enemy, so like obviously you're gonna start doing true damage for that certain percentage and stuff like that. It's really strong if you're trying to like burn down enemies, or burn down a boss, or burn down a person. If you can throw out this Armor Pierce, and they're, you're just gonna do tremendous amounts of more damage. Next one's gonna be Cursed Beam. Now this is just gonna be a channeled ability. It deals X amount of damage, and it stacks up to 5 times on an enemy. You just put it on somebody, and just click it, and it just channels and stacks up over and over and over to 5 times. It deals damage. So the next ability is Desecrating. Desecrating is my favorite open world ability. So what it does is you put it on wherever the enemy is, so it's a target ability, and it roots all enemies in a 4-meter radius for 4.5 seconds, and applies Vile Curse to them. Now that's really important, because like when you have the one-handed curse and you want to get your 4 stacks real fast so that your E does tremendous amounts of damage. So when you put this on them, you already have 1 stack of Vile Curse on them. So you only have to put 3 stacks on them manually with your Q, and then hit them with the E. It's super awesome. Like I mean, besides that, it also roots them in place. So this is really good for you to kite and to kind of like get away from people and hold people in a position. It's just like all around an extremely amazing ability. Grudge is the next one. Now Grudge, it's going to take a little bit longer to explain. So Grudge can be casted on yourself or an ally, and it lasts for 10 seconds. Now while it's activated, every normal attack, it puts a Grudge on them, which is like another stack of like quote-unquote Vile Curse. You know how you have your stacks of Vile Curse, but it's a separate stack than what it is. So it's like 2 separate bleeds. Super strong, actually. And it can be stacked up to 6 times. Now the cool thing about this is, if you're with a party or something, and you have somebody like that has a lot of really fast attack speed, or just any kind of like, they're always going to be attacking really often, put it on them. So then they'll have the Vile Curse, they'll have the Grudge on them, and then they'll be building stacks on the target as well as you can. But if you don't have anybody like that, you can always just cast it on yourself. You can cast it on yourself or somebody else, but it's really cool because it's 2 different dots that you have on there, which is, double the potential of damage and stuff like that. And also, if you're going to use like a mercenary jacket, you can get double healing from that because it procs on both the damages now. And guys, I don't know if you guys know this or not, on a quick little side note, but poison pots do not proc your mercenary jacket healing over time anymore. So that's why Curse is super strong right now in the open world meta, because you still get a lot of damage from your dots, and which is also going to give you a lot of healing. Alright guys, Dark Matter came into the game not too long ago, and it's freaking fantastic. So you cast a Dark Matter ball, and it jumps from target to target to target to target. Now, it jumps at a 7-meter radius, up to 10 times. It deals X amount of damage every person that it jumps to. And it does more to, players, and, does more to mobs than it does players. You know how that works. But it can hit the same enemy twice, but it will bounce in a row. So a pretty cool thing about this is, like, let's say you have, like, an enemy here, and then like your Fame Farm, and there's like a chest, but it's only one enemy left, you can still cast Dark Matter on that. It'll just bounce from the enemy and the chest back and forth 10 times. A lot of damage, and you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It's really strong. To me, guys, Dark Matter and Desecrate are my favorites. Armor Pierce if you're doing like hardcore expeditions, because you know it's really good to like pierce. The curse, this is the one-handed curse staff right here. And this ability is called Death Curse. Now this is the first weapon that you get when you're like leveling up curse or whatever like that. So this has a 4 charge setup. Remember I talked about those 4 charges? So after you put 4 charges of your Q, which is the Vile Curse. Okay, so Vile Curse stacked up 4 times, it does a lot of damage. Now as you can see here, no charges it does, you know, 500, 1 charge is 800. 2 charges it does like 1,000, 3 charges is 14, and then 4 charges it does 1,800. Well, I have really high specs in this and like masteries, so my 4 charges on mobs does almost 4,000 damage. So like basically I'll just run in and I'll hit them with my W, which is the Desecrate right here, and then I'll hit them with this, and that's already 2 stacks of Vile Curse, and then I'll pop this on, and then I'll do another stack of Vile Curse, and then that's, you know, your 4 stacks. And then so it has a cast time. I mean, not a cast time, sorry. It has like a wait time. So it sits on the target for a certain amount of time, a duration, very small duration. And then when that duration is up, then it explodes the damage. So that's the thing you have to think about important. It's not immediate that it explodes the damage. So you have your 4 stacks, and then you put it on the target, and then after a small duration, it, you know, expires, and then explodes the damage on the target. So it's pretty cool because you can put this on them, and you can go invisible, and then like your dots will tick, and then this will blow up and kill them, or like vice versa. Even if they kill you out in the open world, you can still kill them. It's kind of funny because this will explode off. This is very, very, very strong. This is like the main open world solo weapon that I use, that a lot of people use, so it's really, really, really strong. This is a great curse right here. This one's pretty cool. It puts down an area of decay, and this right here is a channeled ability. So the caster creates an area of decay, and all enemies inside of it, their heal over time effects are removed, and will have Vile Curse applied to them repeatedly. And the longer they stay in it, the more Vile Curse stacks up. Alright guys, so the next one's going to be the Demonic Staff. Now this one's also super cool too. So the Demonic Staff puts what's called the ability is called Field of Death, and it creates an area of death on the ground, and it prevents 60% of healing done anybody inside the area, and deals X amount of damage to players, and 82 damage, you know, obviously to mobs and stuff like that, has more damage. And here's the cool thing, it also reveals people that are invisible. Now as you guys know, being invisible is like a really strong thing to do in open world, and also like it's a really cool tactic. This is pretty awesome if you get into a fight. You put it down, they're going to get 60% less healing if they do have a merc jacket or anything going on like that. Anybody that around them or them is going to be invisible. I mean, they're going to come out of invisibility, and then you're also, you know, you can stand in that, and then, you know, they're just going to be doing a lot of damage if they're trying to attack you, whether they're range or melee or whatever. It's really strong. The Demonic Staff is super strong. That's all I can really say about it. You don't see it a lot, but I think it's really cool, and you know, you never know, because there's a lot of cheese things going on in the Crystal GVGs right now, where like people are bringing like dagger pair and like just one-shotting with like armor pierce and not armor pierce but frazzle. So you might see some demonic staffs in GVGs, because you know, also the Enfeeble Aura on the tank's guardian chest piece also reveals people invisible. So between having the Enfeeble Aura and this, that's a pretty good combo right there to be able to prevent healing and to keep these guys from coming out of invis and one-shotting any clothies and stuff like that. Alright guys, so the first artifact weapon that we're going to talk about is going to be the Cursed Skull. This one's super cool. It also just looks badass holding like this skull in your hand. So it's called Haunting Screams, and it's basically you summon this area of effect on the ground. It's like an AoE, and then, but here's the cool thing, it moves forward of the direction that you put it in. So if you put it in front of you, it's going to move forward, you know, for the duration that it's there. So in this area, it adds X amount of magical damage per second, and then has an additional 2% of the enemy's max health. Now this is pretty cool because it does whatever damage that it does from the tick of the magical damage, and then 2% of their max health, it also does damage to that too. That's pretty cool. So that's like a double little damage thing right there. And it's really cool because you just put, like I said, you put it on the ground and it just kind of slowly moves forward. So it's just not in one spot. So if the fight kind of starts rotating, you can it kind of goes with them a little bit, and it just looks badass on the ground with like all these little skulls whirling and stuff like that. Cursed Skull, it's a little expensive, but not too expensive, but it's super freaking amazing. And this is the first artifact that we're going to talk about, and it's extremely awesome. Okay guys, so the next weapon is going to be the Damnation Staff. It's also going to be another artifact weapon. Now the E ability on the Damnation Staff is called Cataclysm. Now it creates a creates it creates an area on the ground, 13 meter radius, which deals 300. Look at this, 345 magical damage, and reduces resistance by 40%. Now this is huge. It's like you cast it and you spin it in the air and there's bam, it's AOE of wherever you want to, you can target it or whatever. But it does a lot of damage, just like boom, burst damage. But here's the look at that. It gives them a resist, so it gives them like almost like a armor pierce of some sorts. So it reduces their resistance. So that's incredible. So you put it on the ground, a big chunk of AOE to damage to everybody, and then on top of that, it gives them a resistance, reduces their resistance, which is just incredible. And like I said, it looks really fucking amazing. So let's just show it to you guys. Like he spins it in the air like that, and then just throws it down. Bam! I mean, it looks. Oh, and then that my cape was proc. That the last part's not a part of it. My cape prop. That looks pretty cool though. So the life curse staff is going to be the next one here. Now this has Enfeeble Blades. It summons a ring of deadly blades around yourself and an ally that follows the targets around. So you can put it around yourself or an ally, whichever one you want. And then it's just like an AoE around yourself that just nasty damage. It does X amount of damage and reduces their attack power by 5%, stacking up to 10 times. That's pretty strong right there, because if you get it onto somebody, if you have it on yourself or somebody that's in melee, and this starts stacking, like it's gonna make whoever is like attacking you back, they're gonna be weak as crap. So this is really strong. It's not super expensive, but it is gonna be kind of expensive. Is like I said, it's another artifact, but all the artifacts are gonna be a little bit more expensive. Okay, so as far as some of the gear goes, this is kind of like a standard set of gear that you can rock when you're out soloing and stuff like that. So we're gonna go with the mercenary hood for the cleanse. Now mercenary hood just cleanses in case you get stunned and stuff like that. You want to be able to get away from that. You can also do a cape for that too if you want, but you can do different things with the cape. So if you don't want to use that, you can also always go with the Scholar Cow. Now the Scholar Cow is really nice because it's going to give you energy shield. Now energy shield, every time you take damage, it gives you a little bit of resistance, so you have a little bit of tankiness to yourself. But then also, anytime they attack you, it gives you back mana. That's pretty strong. Chest go, you can do a couple different options here, but like two of the most like commoner ones that you can go with. You can go Mercenary Jacket, like I said, with Bloodlust. Now every time you're at low health and you pop Bloodlust, anytime you do damage, it heals you. Like I was telling you, like when you put dots on people, and then even when Dark Matter is bouncing between enemies and stuff like that, it gives you a lot of healing. So this is really strong, and it's leather, so it's a little bit more tanky, gives a little bit more DPS than like what plate would. But I mean, it's really strong. So definitely, Curse being a dot-based class, this is kind of like a no-brainer to be able to give you heals. Let's go with the Cleric Robe. Now the Cleric Robe is pretty tight because it gives Everlasting Spirit. Everlasting Spirit, when you cast it, you don't cast it, you just pop it or whatever. You're invulnerable to damage for 1.5 seconds, and then after that, your damage and healing powers increase for 30% for 3 seconds if you take damage. That's pretty strong because it can be a defensive, so you don't have to worry about getting like taken out or anything like that. And it also, when they do attack you after it, you can do more damage afterwards. So that's like super strong. Another combo that you can do with this here actually is you can do one of these right here. You can take the Graveguard Helm. Now the Graveguard Helm, it's really cool because you sacrifice 25% of your total health to heal yourself. But if you pop your chest ability and then hit your sacrifice, it just pretty much heals you like full up. Well, it depends on how much master you are, but like it gives you a lot of health. So if you ever, and the reason you want to do this is because Cloth gives you the most damage, but you're also more vulnerable to, because you're not as tanky or whatever. So, but if you do that, you can put out the most damage as you want, but then when you start getting at low health, you hit your chest ability, which is going to be right here, the Everlasting Spirit, and then when that is activated, then you sacrifice just on yourself. You click it, click yourself, or whatever your keybind is, and then it heals you. Okay guys, let's go ahead and talk about shoes. Shoes are kind of preference or whatever you want to wear. I honestly just say whatever shoes you want to wear, use them that you have the high specs in. You can also, if you want to spend the money, these are expensive now, but the demon boots are super sick. Because the demon boots, we already talked about in another video, but like, when you're at low health, it makes you sprint way faster. It's like almost having Wanderlust on at full stacks. But then it also increases your damage, so it's like a really cool like thing like that. Okay guys, so as far as capes go, there's a couple of cool options here. Demon Cape is my favorite one because it has such a low cooldown, and then it puts the lava under what you're auto attacking, so you have a nice like little AoE, extra little dot damage going on. That's my favorite one right there, the Demon Cape, and it looks pretty sick. The Morgana Cape is not too bad because it gives you a nice little attack speed and all that kind of stuff like that. It's really expensive. The Morgana Cape is not practical in open world. Maybe if you're gonna like just use it for certain scenarios and stuff like that, maybe hardcore expeditions or something, a little bit more practical. Another really cool cape here, boys, is the Undead Cape. Now it doesn't sell for a lot, so go ahead and pick yourself up a couple of these or just make them if you want. So what it does is Vanisher. Whenever, so it's called Vanisher is the ability for this. Now whenever you take damage and you're whenever you're below 20% health, sorry boys, you go invisible. Now check this out. You're invisible for 6 seconds. You can still use abilities. Now check this out. So if you take the damage, you're about to die, you go invisible, and then you can sprint. So if you have those demon boots on, you're sprinting like hella fast, and your damage is increased. And if you don't have demon boots on, you can still use, you know, Wanderlust or Sprint or any kind of other, like, that's what's super cool about that. But also, you can still use DPS abilities and healing abilities too. So think about that. You can use abilities while you're invisible, and you're invisible for 6 seconds. This is actually pretty cool. This was brought to my attention in one of my streams by Jerry. His stream is called Jerry_1. I'll put a link to his stream down here. But he's also known in the game as Silent Protagonist. Okay, offhands. Let's go ahead and talk about offhands. It's pretty tight. You know, it's not that expensive. It gives you like just a magical ability. You know, yeah. I mean, a magical ability bonus. Not too cool. I mean, not too cool. Not too bad. The Crypt Candle is probably like the best one because it's gonna give you, you know, defensives and magical ability. So that's pretty cool. But in open world, I just usually just rock a shield. You know, the shield is just gonna be pretty cool because you're gonna be able to, you know, reduce incoming damage and stuff like that. But you can also use the horn for the cooldown modifier. That's pretty cool. I really wouldn't use the torch though for the attack speed bonus. I don't think that'd be helpful. Anything that's going to give you magical bonus or defensive or a cooldown modifier, I think would be the best thing. Alrighty guys, thank y'all so much for sticking around this video. It's a bit longer. These guides tend to be a little bit longer as I try to go in depth as I can. I try to trim it down as much as I can. Curse has a lot going on with it and has a lot of weapons, so you know, it's a lot to talk about. But once again guys, thank y'all so much for sticking around. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and throw them down below. If I missed something, or if you want something more in depth, and let me know about the next weapon that you want to see. As always, come ask me any questions on my Twitch or my Twitter, anywhere you want guys. And that's it boys, this is over. This is a long one, I'm sorry. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, as always, peace.